Hey there, it's Natasha Lewis from Big Rock Organics, and welcome to week 16 of the CSA. Yay, we've made it through the entire season, but wait, there's more. We do have a week 17 and an 18. If you're interested in joining, we've sent some details, so keep an eye out there because we have a lot coming up. So let's get through the box, and then I'll give you a little sneak preview of what's going to be in the box coming up in the next several weeks. So the garden is of course so bountiful, so plentiful, and my favorite season of course is fall because you get summer vegetables and you get fall vegetables all together. So it's really delicious. So we're going to go through what we have in the box. We have some new favorites, some old favorites, and lots of variety. So we have some kale this week. This is beautiful, beautiful green kale and also a red boar purple kale. And look at that. This has been such a fun crop. I planted it and put the Agribon cover over it, and then just last week pulled it up and it looked beautiful underneath there. So very excited about this cut once kale, and this is nice curly kale. You can make a salad out of it. You can make kale chips out of it. You can use it in a soup. You do want to de-rib it, so as you take the leaf, fold the leaf in half and then pull the leaves right off of that rib there, and that way you won't get that tough rib in anything that you're cooking. And then you can saute it or add it directly to soups and things like that, and it is delicious. So lots of kale. It might look like a lot of kale, but greens always cook down so fast and to such a little volume. It is really actually quite miraculous. So nice kale. Looking forward to having kale there for a couple of weeks now. We've of course got our little favorite paper towel wrapped basil. So this Italian basil has just been with us for the whole season. We've had several crops of it, but it is just so delicious. So make sure you make a batch of pesto and freeze it. I love that pistachio pesto we featured earlier in the season, but pesto freeze is lovely. But remember, the best way to store this is just to take this, put it in a jar with enough water to touch the stems, and then put a bag over it. I just use the bag that comes in, and I put the bag over the whole thing, and it stays on the counter beautifully that way, and it stays fresh. I had my basil for at least a week and a half on the counter. Now, a wonderful, delicious recipe we did. We took our tomatoes, and I used the cherry tomatoes. They're so sweet and delicious. I cut them in half. I boiled my pasta, drained it, and then I sauteed some vegetables, whatever you want. The patty pans were great in there, peppers, Swiss chard, anything like that, onions, garlic. Sauteed in some olive oil, just enough to get it a little charred. And then I took my tomatoes and I tossed them with the pasta. I took a handful of fresh basil and tossed it as well, and then just lots of fresh grated Parmesan, and it makes the most delicious tomato basil pasta. That's something that my family would make when before we moved to the farm and we lived in suburbia. We had a tiny backyard garden and we grew Roma tomatoes and basil amongst other couple of things, and that was because we loved our tomato basil pasta. And so I just made a little twist by adding more vegetables to it, but we would always just do garlic, tomatoes, and basil, and it makes a great fresh pasta. It's not really a sauce, but it has such a great unique fresh tomato flavor, and you want those tomatoes to just like barely get cooked. You don't want them to cook down too much, and so that is just so delicious and wonderful. So if you haven't done something like that yet this season, definitely do that because it's so tasty. All right, we've got radishes. So many ravishing radishes. These are the French breakfast radishes, which, aren't they elegant? They're so beautiful. As a grower, I do love them because they're elongated, so it's very efficient growing, and they grow nicely spaced. But those are just delicious and perfect just like this. So eat them as a snack, pop them, they're wonderful. We will be having Cherry Belle, the regular round red radishes, in the next couple of weeks, and these are just looking fabulous, so they'll be around for a little while too. So we've got these radishes. Now we have two kinds of radishes this week, so don't get overwhelmed, but we have another type of radish that is called a watermelon radish. And I should have cut one open for the video. You'll just have to cut your very own open to get the surprise. So why is it called a watermelon radish? Because it looks like a watermelon inside. So doesn't much look like a watermelon on the outside, but when you cut it open, it looks like a slice of watermelon. And so these are a Asian storage radish, which means that they are going to grow bigger. So they're not, you know, oversized. They grow big and they store well. So you can just take and snip the greens down, you know, kind of short like that, throw them in a bag with a paper towel, put them in the fridge. You know, they'll last a couple months. I like them roasted. I like them in a stir fry. You can eat them fresh, you know, anything that you would normally do with a radish. We'll put a recipe in for pickled radish, and that's a great little treat as well. Sometimes you use a nice light white, you know, rice vinegar kind of thing with that pickled radish. So we'll put some recipes in there, but these guys will store really well. So the other radishes, more for fresh eating, these guys store really well, and they can get, you know, quite large. We've had all kinds of different winter storage radishes in the past. This year we thought we'd do those little watermelon radishes because they're so much fun. Well, I guess they're not really little, they're kind of large. So we've got all kinds of those in your box this week, and they are delicious and colorful and fun, so I hope you enjoy them. Of course, we've got patty pan squash. They just keep on kicking just when you think they're done, and they're really beautiful, nice size, and got those patty pans coming. Use them like you would anything. We made some kebabs, which are always fabulous. If you're tired of patty pan, grate it up, freeze it. This is the time of year where we want, you know, all that cozy baking, so you could make any sort of recipe that uses zucchini. Use the patty pan squash for those guys, and they will be delicious. We've got some peppers, lots of peppers this week, so a couple different ones to highlight. So these little ones, you'll see a lot of little peppers sprinkled in through your box, different colors. You got red, orange, purple, green. All of these are sweet. They're the Lunchbox peppers, and then these purple ones and the orange they turn into are called Pippin's golden sweet pepper or something like that. So they're all really great to snack on. So what I like to do is I just eat them just like this, snacking, but you could also take and cut them and put some like herb cream cheese into it. You know, you can put like chicken salad into them, you know, all kinds of things, but they are delicious. I just cannot keep away from them as a snack. So that's usually what ends up happening in my house. So they're a delicious snack. We've got some eggplant this week. We're doing that Italian eggplant, and oh my goodness, I just love eggplant parmesan. I'm gonna have to do some fresh tomato sauce and eggplant parmesan this week. Ratatouille, I've seen some people cooking that and posting some pictures of it. So it's lots of delicious recipes with that eggplant, and the eggplant is still going strong, so we're excited about that. It's such a beautiful vegetable, isn't it? All right, so we've got some leeks this week, and see if I can pull a leek out of the box here. They're not quite as big as we were hoping, but they are tender and small and delicious, and you do want to use that white part of the leek here, the leaves not so much, but I usually cut it about like here where the green starts, and use this long portion and use it in anything you would an onion. So, you know, anything that you'd use a scallion or an onion, you can use a leek, and it's just a little bit more mild tasting than onion or garlic, but a blend of the two flavors. So it's delicious with any sort of saute or soup or anything like that. So we'll have some more leeks as the weeks go on as well. We do have some tomatoes. They are sure winding down, but we got some of the bigger tomatoes, and then of course we got some of those little cherry tomatoes for you in the box. We've got some peppers that are turning colors, so hopefully you can enjoy the turning peppers and the ones that are already turned. So we've got some great colors, yellows and oranges and reds, and I just love those sweet peppers. You can of course roast them and peel the skin off, and then you get a nice roasted red bell pepper that is delicious to toss into pasta or to you know, add to chicken, that kind of thing. Those roasted red bell peppers are a little bit of a labor of love, but they're very, very delicious. Most of these just end up getting used and cut and added to like fajitas. We'll put it in a recipe for a sheet pan fajita. That's a great time saver, easy meal that you can do with all these wonderful peppers. Speaking of wonderful peppers, one more variety for you. We have those Poblanos this week, and oh, we've just had such beautiful peppers this year. Sometimes there's a crop that is like just fantastic. And this year, I have to say, is probably the peppers. They are awesome. Lots of great peppers. What else do we have? We have butternut squash. Also excited about that. Butternut squash, you may also find an acorn squash. Some of you get acorn, some of you get butternut, but we do have a ton more of winter squash. So if you are getting our extra weeks of winter, this week 17 and 18 of the CSA, you're gonna see a lot of winter squash. We have to just get that harvested out of the field. It wasn't quite ready, but we'll be harvesting it very soon. So these guys, I just stab them a few times, bake them in the oven whole. When they're baked, I cut them open and scoop the seeds out. Just a lot easier. But you can also make great butternut fries out of this. You can also do, this in place of pumpkin for any sort of baked thing. I love a good pumpkin soup, and this is really yummy. Instead of like cubed pumpkin that you might use in recipes, to use the butternut squash. I don't know, I feel like butternut squash is such a great thing. I don't even have to explain it because most people are familiar, but it is so good. And my favorite way of topping squash is to do on my squash a little bit of butter and then a little bit of brown sugar, and that's my favorite thing to do a squash. I cannot wait to enjoy a squash. I have that goal for this week to cook some squashes. Sweet potatoes again, oh my goodness gracious, we've had just the most beautiful sweet potatoes. Now I will say, disclaimer, you want to hold off on eating these a little bit. They need to cure. So if you let them cure, they say about 85 degrees, so a nice warm place for 4 to 7 days. We've just dug these out of the field, so let them sit for a little bit. Because they'll get sweeter, the starch converts to sugar, and they're gonna have a much better flavor. So your sweet potatoes might look big or small, all different sizes, but they are so delicious, and very excited for those sweet potatoes. It takes a long time for us to grow sweet potatoes in the north because we can only plant them once the weather gets really warm, and so it is a long season crop. So we are just now digging those, but they do need a little bit of curing time, so just keep that in mind as you plan your meals. Maybe just hold on to these for a week or so if you can, and you'll have a better tasting sweet potato. I probably am missing something buried here in the box. Oh, of course I am. Celery, we've got red celery this week. And red celery, just because those stems are kind of a really nice ruby color. We had the pink celery, green celery, and red celery. And just really fun to have all those varieties. Now, in our 17 and 18 boxes, we're gonna have celery root, which is really, really cool stuff. And we're trying to let that get a little bit bigger. We'll also have some kohlrabi next week as well. It was just almost there. We'll also have some dragon tongue bush beans, which are really fun and delicious and colorful. We have a lot of things, carrots, potatoes, even some lettuce and things like that coming up here too. So lots of good things to look forward to in those upcoming boxes. So if you haven't, let us know that you want to join in for those extra 2 weeks. Please do, and that way we can add you to the list. All right, and last but not least here, we have, making sure there isn't anything I've forgotten, we have the cutest and the most fragrant, lovely bundle of rosemary, which I'm very proud of. Rosemary has been a challenge for us to grow these past years, and thyme. So rosemary and thyme, the best chicken bundle. You can take and chop this up, make a rub with some butter for your whole roasted chicken, and then take the rest of it that you don't use and stuff it in the cavity along with an onion and some veggies. And I actually just saw a recipe for using a whole pumpkin and putting your chicken inside of it to cook, which is really an interesting concept. Not sure if I'm gonna try that or not, but this is gonna be so delicious. But also, these are great flavors with potatoes and other roast vegetables and things like that. So very excited to finally bring to you the rosemary and even the sweet potatoes, some crops we just wait all season long for. Now, if you have at any point in the last week or two gotten a cantaloupe, we tried growing cantaloupe. Somebody gave us some cantaloupe plants. So it has been an 100% experiment, and I put a full disclaimer, we're still learning like how those things are ready, and they have a very small window of being ready. So if you got a cantaloupe and it was over or under ripe, I'm still learning about cantaloupe, and I thought I'd share my learning with you, and I hope it was successful, but I make absolutely no guarantee about those cantaloupes. It's always a little iffy to figure out whether it's ready or not, and so here's to hoping, right? All right, so that is our week 16 box. You will also be getting flowers in your box this week. Everybody's getting a bouquet of flowers, and we just want to say so very much from the bottom of our hearts, we appreciate you, and thank you for being on this journey with us together for the last 16 weeks, and do hope that you'll join us for week 17 and 18, because there is just so much good food still coming out of the field that we want to make sure that you're a part of. So thank you again, and enjoy your veggies, and have a wonderful rest of the harvest season. Bye.